Today starts at 60 is exploring the fact that Telstra is going to switch off their 3G on the 30th of June this year. We've got Peter from Cmobile with us. Peter, what does this mean?
Morning, Wendy. It's a nice day here today too as well. So the 3G network, so that's the third generation network of Australia. So first generation was the old analog system. Then we went to 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. So they just mean next, the G just means generation. So the third generation network has come to the end of its life, unfortunately, and all of the carriers are switching it off. So the Vodafone TPG network was switched off in December. Telstra switches its 3G network off, which is obviously the big one, which most people are on, at the end of June, and then Optus are going to follow in September. So the reason they're switching it off is because the radio spectrum is only a limited resource. So everything runs on the radio spectrum, from your garage door remote control to your home Wi-Fi, and there's a large allocation of that on the mobile section now. With the advent of 4G, smartphones, iPhones, iPads, all of those things, they're very data hungry, and they're using a lot of the data. So the networks, unfortunately, are having to move the spectrum that's allocated for 3G up to 4G and 5G to cater for the needs of data, which has exponentially grown over the last 5 or 6 years in Australia and worldwide indeed. So unfortunately, yeah, there's no more room for 3G. It's a finite resource, and that's how it is.
Okay, so if you're on Telstra, 30 June and Optus in September, will your carrier contact you to let you know if you're affected or not?
Absolutely. So your carrier should contact you, whether it be via email, whether I've seen some attachments on bills that you get each month from them, Facebook updates, all of that sort of thing. You should definitely get a personalised contact from your carrier, no matter who they are, informing you of what exactly is happening, what tools are available to you to check this, and what handsets are affected. Now, there's a lot of handsets in Australia now. There's a lot of what we call grey imports in Australia now, which are things you can buy off Amazon and all that work, but they're not really supported by the network. So it's very important you check to see whether your handset supports the new 4G that's going to be coming in.
And is there an easy way to check? You know, I've got a handset, I don't know, I've had it for a while, I don't know if it's compatible. Is there an easy way to check?
Yes, there is. So before we say that, there's the handsets that'll stop working are your 3G handset. Now, they're early 4G handsets. You may have a 4G handset, but it doesn't support what they call voice over LTE. So the earlier 4G handsets were 4G available, but they carried their voice traffic on the 3G network. There's a smaller subset of mobiles that are 4G, but only carry emergency calls, such as 000, on the 3G network. So all of those phones will need to be replaced. Now, you can find this out if you're any carrier on the Telstra network by simply texting the word, the number and letter 3G to 3498. So if you text that if you're a Telstra customer, you text to 3498 and it will come back and tell you whether your handset is affected.
Okay, so you are literally texting that number with the number 3 and
correct,
you get a response. Okay,
correct, and it'll tell you whether your handset is affected, whether you need to update it, whether it's one that's affected with emergency calls only. That has been the big concern, and you may have seen that on the in the political sphere in the last couple of weeks. Handsets that continue to work on 4G, but if you get into trouble and need to make a 000 call, they won't work. So that's a trap for younger players, if you like. But that one is a very important one, because that handset will work. So it's, even if you think you've got a 4G handset, great idea to just text 3498 and make sure your handset will continue to function at the end of June.
That's fabulous, fabulous advice, and super easy too. So yeah, some people might be asking, will I lose my phone number?
No, so we've had what you call mobile number portability in Australia for a number of years now, and you own that number while it's connected. So whether your phone stops working, whether you lose your phone or it gets stolen or whatever, you still own that number. So in most cases, you'll be able to pull your SIM out and put it in your new phone, and it'll just continue working with your number as it is. If you require a new SIM, and look, some of the older phones have a larger SIM size than the newer ones, and it may not fit yours. So you can contact your carrier and they'll provide you a new SIM and just transfer your number. It's a very simple process. Once you get your SIM in your hand, tell them that you've got it. They'll flick your number across to it. 2-minute job. So yeah, you definitely won't lose your phone number.
Fantastic. And finally, with all of these changes, Peter, have you got any ideas for recycling old devices?
Well, there's an organisation called Mobile Muster that's been around since the 90s, and you find in some cases, if you buy a new handset, I think Samsung were doing this for a while. I'm not sure whether they still are. They'll actually send you a bag to mail your old phone back in to Mobile Muster. Now, old phones, any phone, they do contain a few rare earth minerals, and they're gold, copper, cobalt, and a few other bits and pieces in them that are in very small quantities. So don't go pulling your phone apart thinking that you're going to strike it rich. But if you get enough of them together, they can make money. So what Mobile Muster does, they actually give that to charity. So they collect your old phones. You can donate them at Woolworths. They usually have a box out the front of any Woolworths. The post office will give you a return. You've got to give your own packaging, but the post office will give you a return label. You can post it back to Mobile Muster. So there's many options, but like a lot of people, you've probably got a couple of old phones in your drawer. Good idea. If you're going to get rid of them, you just got to hang on to them, don't you? I don't know why that is. Send them off to Mobile Muster, do a bit of good for the community, and stop them going into landfill. Of course, the lithium-ion batteries are terribly damaging to the environment if they get into the tip. So the biggest tip is don't put them in the bin.
Fantastic. You've been fantastic today, Peter, full of information. So, Peter from Cmobile, thank you very much for your time today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Wendy.